Ramblings of a Music Teacher, Episode 46. How to use a metronome properly. A metronome can be a very useful piece of equipment, especially when learning faster, more complicated pieces. Very often students will attempt learning a piece too quickly, with many hesitations, and these inconsistencies in tempo will remain if you don't first practice slowly enough. You should always practice at a speed that you can comfortably keep going at without hesitation. Then you can use a metronome to very gradually build up the tempo as you develop muscle memory. Many modern metronomes, which you can download onto your phone or your iPad, have a tap tempo function, meaning that you can tap the beat of a speed which you think you can maintain. And then the metronome will remember that speed in beats per minute. As you increase the speed, only do so very gradually so that the hesitant playing does not return. Traditional metronomes increased by intervals of 3 beats per minute from 60 to 72, and then by 4 beats per minute from 72 up to 120. And these incremental changes are ideal for increasing the speed gradually. Don't try to run before you can walk. I tend not to go too far below 50 beats per minute or above 150 beats per minute, because beyond these extremes the beat becomes too slow or too fast and thus harder to follow. Let me demonstrate. That is a metronome beat of 120. Here is a metronome beat of 40 beats per minute. And as you can feel, the beats are so far apart that you can not really tell where the next one's going to be coming from. Da, da, da. And you're always slightly before or slightly after because they're so far apart. Then, if we go up to something very fast, for example, 200, it just gets too fast to follow. So somewhere in the middle. And that's quite easy to follow. Dum, 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 dum. So what then do you do if you want to go to a speed that's faster than 120, 150 maybe, or lower than 50? I tend to either subdivide or double the beat. For example, if I wanted a beat that is slower than a crotchet equals 60, I would often convert it first into quavers, that is to say, 120 quavers in a minute instead of 60 crotchets in a minute. And then from there I can go lower still. So if I wanted a beat of 40 crotchets in a minute, instead I would follow a metronome of 80 quavers in a minute. And when I achieve that beat of quaver equals 120 comfortably, then I can go back into a crotchet beat of 60 beats per minute and increase from there. Of course, if the beat subdivides into threes, such as in compound time signatures, you could subdivide a dotted crotchet equals 50, for example, into quaver equals 150, a ratio of 1 to 3. However, practicing with a metronome needs a word of caution. Although metronomes can be very useful in building up the speed of fast, complicated pieces, they can also make your playing very mechanical. Therefore, you should do as much practice with a metronome as without a metronome. And when you're doing it without, you can add the little nuances such as rubato, which by the way is not an excuse for playing out of time. As always, I would be very interested in your thoughts. Please leave a comment below whether you use a metronome in your practice and if you have found it helpful. And as always, thank you for listening and tune in next time for more ramblings of a music teacher.